Welcome to this special edition of the Commissioner's Report featuring Commissioner John Hall, who will be speaking with us today on next year's County Commission budget. We'll also be joined by Tax Collector Joe Tedder, who will be discussing the services of his expanded office. First up is Commissioner John Hall. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thank you. The Board of County Commissioners recently passed a $1.26 billion budget for fiscal year 2013-14. As big as that number is, it is considerably smaller than past budgets. How did that happen?
Well, we have, over the last few years, as our economy has been, I guess, going down, would be the best way to say it, we've had to offer less in county services also, and we have done that. We've scaled back, much like individuals in their households that had to scale back with less. We've had to do more with less, and you're right. It's much smaller than at its peak, which was almost $1.8 billion. So this year is less, approximately $50 million less. So I can just attribute that to the staff finding more efficient and effective ways to provide the services without increases in costs.
Commissioner Hall, you have said that cutting or maintaining costs while preserving the quality of services is the right way to run county government. Right now, you're not hearing any negative comments about county customer service. Can you please elaborate?
Oh, everywhere I go, and all the commissioners are out in the public all week long, and everywhere I go, I think that citizens have decided in our discussions that county government is just about at the right level where it is right now. So I think we should probably establish this as a baseline for our budget and not only our budget, but our services and our service delivery for the future. So unless we have a lot of growth exponentially, then we should consider keeping county government where it is, or somewhat close to where it is right now.
So we have to understand what the public wants and is willing to pay for as we frame our budgets.
Oh, absolutely. If there are services that we're not providing that the public wants, then we should take a look at those, see what the cost would be. If there are services that we are providing that they're not utilizing to its fullest or not really wanting, then we should take a look at those also. So I think that as taxpayers, they actually get to drive this train. They decide what they're willing to pay for and how much.
Yes, sir. You know, we recently finished one budget cycle and we're already planning for the next. Apparently, there's no rest for the fiscally responsible. Aren't we going to begin planning like right away?
Oh, we've already started some of the discussions, and in December we will actually be having a strategic planning session to determine where we're going to go from here. As I just stated, with the public being satisfied with the services, or seemingly satisfied, I'm not getting any complaints about what we're doing, then I think we should probably establish this as our baseline from here going forward, and that'll be for discussions with all of the commissioners in our upcoming strategic planning. You know, it's going to be some really good stuff.
What are we sensing or hearing about the housing market and property values?
Oh, that's fantastic news. We've started to see some movement in construction, not to where we were back in 2005 and 2006, but yes, at least it's increasing. Our property values increased almost 4% this past year, 3.65. We anticipate another increase in the coming year, and that's why we get to the strategic planning and the necessity for the strategic planning and establishing a baseline budget, because as our property values come back and as we start getting more dollars into the county, if we've established this as our baseline budget and our baseline for services, then there's a possibility that we can start putting money back into the pockets of the citizens that actually pay for the services.
That's wonderful news.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yes, sir. Going into the planning session then in December, what do you see as the core mission of county government?
Oh, our core mission, I think, is to provide for the health, safety, and welfare of our citizens. That's fire, EMS, and importantly, the sheriff's office. As Polk County has grown, those services have needed more resources because they're having to grow also based on our population. Then not only to provide for that, but an adequate transportation system. Transportation is very important.
Critical.
If you can't get people to jobs, then we can't grow our economy. If you can't get them to schools, then we can't grow our education. One of those things is Florida Polytech, you know. And I think it's going to be incumbent on us to make sure that we have adequate transportation systems to get to those things.
Yes, sir. You mentioned the Sheriff's Department. Doesn't the county budget include the constitutional officers? That's part of the budget?
Absolutely. It includes all of the constitutional officers, and we have to get their budgets every year. They develop their budgets, they send them in, we review them, we talk it over with the constitutional officers and see if there's any increases in levels of service or decreases in levels of service that we're going to be looking at.
Okay, and in this goal setting and strategic planning process for the new budget, what role can the citizens play?
Oh, a huge role, actually, and that's what I've already said a couple of times, and you have also, and that is, what do you want to see out of your county government? Do you want to see us be fiscally conservative? Everyone does. I'm sure that's going to be that answer, but what services are you willing to pay for? Is there something we're not doing? Is there something that we are doing that you don't need as much of? And what level are you willing to fund that at? So there's some things that they can do as far as contacting us, and they can do that via email or by telephone call.
In these tough economic times, Commissioner, county government and our municipal partners have had to use consolidation, competition, customer choice, and a relentless focus to save millions while continuing to provide improved services at all levels of the county government. Do you see this as a short-term recipe for success, or is this type of critical thinking and planning here to stay?
Oh, I would think that it's here to stay. Anytime that you duplicate a service in government, you duplicate a cost. If we're doing something and doing it extremely well, and we can provide services to our municipal governments, then we should take a look at doing that. If they're doing something extremely well, then we should take a look at letting them handle that for us. I mean, it shouldn't just be a one-way street. So I think it's here to stay.
Good. And for many years, Commissioner Hall, you were the director of the county's building and permitting department. You created numerous customer service programs to improve the efficiency of that department. How important is maintaining great customer service when you and your colleagues shape a budget?
Oh, it's the number one thing that we should be looking at is customer service. I used to tell my staff that we exist because our customers are out there. Our customers are not out there because we exist. So I think that it's the thing that we have to consider first and foremost when we start to shape a budget. But customer service cannot just be driven by dollars. You have to provide the customer service, excellent customer service, regardless of the funding level.
You've noted, Commissioner, that county government is a lot of things to a lot of people. Your job sometimes can be compared to that of a tightrope walker. How do we maximize and balance the value of the tax dollars that we collect today with the responsibility of maintaining our key infrastructure projects, including roads, water, and sewers? And are we deferring maintenance, or do you think that we're up to date in Polk County?
Oh, there's no way that we're up to date. Not in our roads and drainage systems, not in our facilities. We have what is termed a backlog of maintenance and repair in transportation and in facilities. So, and Parks and Recreation. Parks and Recreation is not funded to the level that they need to be funded at to maintain excellent playing fields. I mean, they do an excellent job with what they have, but when they have the pressure, the playing fields have the pressure that we have on them, then they need a little bit more. And I think that we need to be discussing that. And everyone has, their own hot topic item that they want to see funded, and maybe it's more important to them than something else. So it is a tightrope act.
Yes, sir. You know, the bane of anybody that plans a budget and tries to maintain it is what we call the unfunded mandates that come down from the federal government or perhaps Tallahassee. Is there any way we can corral these things? How do we deal with our legislators?
Yes, we have communication and conversations with them often. As a matter of fact, I think it's December 11th that we're having a joint meeting with the Board of County Commissioners and our legislative delegation from Polk County to discuss issues that are facing us as a county and let them know what our thoughts are on those. Unfunded mandates is at the top of the list. It's those things that we can't quantify at the beginning of a budget process. We don't know about unfunded mandates when we start our strategic planning in December because the legislature doesn't convene until March. So there may be something that comes out of that that's going to be an unfunded mandate by midsummer, and it's a little bit tough to quantify.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Commissioner Hall, for sharing your insights with us today on next year's county budget. And please stay tuned as we will now be hearing from our tax collector, Joe Tedder, who is on the front end of many budgets. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to this special edition of the Commissioner's Report. We are now joined by Polk County Tax Collector Joe Tedder. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, DG.
Before we get into the inner workings of your office, won't you please tell us about your family, your career, and how you became our tax collector?
Thank you. Well, I'm fortunate that I grew up here in Polk County, moved to Polk County at the age of 2. Grew up in the Crystal Lake area, East Polk County, which was also the home neighborhood of Grady Judd. So he and I kind of grew up in the same neighborhood. So we're proud of the stock that came out of that area. Went to the public schools, lived in a wonderful area and a wonderful neighborhood, and it was a great childhood. I'm married to Dr. Tracy Tedder. She is the Dean of Education at Florida Southern College. I'm very proud of her and all that she's accomplished and is doing a great job in her career. And we have a lovely son, or a handsome son, Joseph, who is 5. So I'm really enjoying the years with him, and I can't look forward to, or I do look forward to him growing up. I got a degree in accounting from Florida Southern. I originally thought I was going to have a career in music, and studied that for a while at Florida State. But when I decided to come back and go into business, I worked, got a degree in accounting, and worked for a local CPA firm who my father was a managing partner. Worked alongside my family. In '92, I had an opportunity to get into politics. I was approached about running for the House of Representatives. Less than probably 48 hours from the time I was asked, would you consider it, my name was in the paper and I was running. It really happened very quick, but it was something I kind of, besides playing in the NBA, get into politics was another dream I had. I knew the NBA would probably never happen for me, but so I got elected to the House of Representatives, served 2 terms representing North Polk County, and then in '96 had an opportunity to run for tax collector, which was a great blend of 2 things I loved, politics and business and accounting. So I've been the tax collector since '96 and have truly loved the opportunity.
Thank you for sharing your background with us. And what are the responsibilities of the tax collector's office?
Well, I find it to be very fascinating, and it is truly is a wide gamut of responsibilities as a tax collector. First off, it is a constitutional office. A lot of people, they hear that term, but they don't really know what that means. And actually, a constitutional office means that it was an office created in Florida's Constitution. There are 5 constitutional officers here in Polk County: the tax collector, the property appraiser, supervisor of elections, the clerk of the court, and the sheriff. And they are all separate and independent offices run by elected officials every 4 years. And our responsibilities are to provide state services at the local level. So that kind of gives you a little bit of background of how the office was created. For the tax collector's office, we are responsible for doing just really a number of things. We work as an agent for the state and Department of Motor Vehicles. We work as an agent of the Department of Revenue in the collection of property taxes. A lot of people think when we're collecting property taxes, we're doing it on behalf of the board or the school board or the city of Lakeland, but actually we're doing that on behalf of the state. So we're involved in that. We're also involved in hunting and fishing license, represent the state in that particular area. We do have contracts with the Board of County Commissioners in 2 really important areas that I know you're intimately involved in or have been in your past career.
Yes, sir.
Tourist development taxes, which is a lot of people like to call them bed taxes. It's the tax that when you go to the hotel and they quote you that the room's $100 a night, and you go to check out and it's $120 a night. It's like, my goodness, where the other $20? Well, part of that's a bed tax. So it's people that stay in hotels. And then the other one is a business tax, yes, which is a tax that anybody that's engaged in business in Polk County, they're required to have a business tax receipt. And those funds are used to spur economic development in our county. Yes. And tourist development taxes are used by the county commission for a number of different projects to, again, bring tourists and people to this particular area. Then a new one that, 2 new ones for us, relatively new. One is our payment processing system. We have now processed a number of other types of payments, mainly in the utilities areas. We represent the board, the city of Lakeland, and the city of Bartow right now, and processing all their utility payments. So for those of you that live in Bartow or Lakeland or in the unincorporated area of Polk County, when you're paying your utility bill, we're actually the ones that pick it up at the mailbox, or at the post office. We don't actually go to every mailbox, but we're the ones that pick it up at the post office, and we process them and send that money to those entities. It's a private venture on our part. We charge those entities a fee for that, and we make a little bit of money, and we've been able to save them a tremendous amount of money. And we're also now, by the state legislature, we're getting involved in driver's license, taking over the first office in Lake Wales, and now getting ready to take over Lakeland. We have about 160 employees, a budget of about $11 million, and we process over $1 billion worth of fees every single year. So it's quite an operation, and I'm really proud of the job that we're doing.
You know, having been tax collector for the past 16 years, what type of organizational philosophy has your office established?
Well, if I stood by the front door and said, wow, people keep coming to see us and they keep writing us checks, we're very successful. Well, in our case, they only have a choice. They have to pay us and they've got to come see us. So that was not the symbol of success in our organization. So really, or in government at all. So we asked what ended up being a very tough question. What defines success for us? How do we know we've had a successful week, a successful month, a successful year? What is success? What does it look like? How do we measure it? And how do we objectively show the citizens on how we're doing in regards to the benchmarks we've made? And thinking about all that, I mean, that was kind of the foundation. We created a system that we call Outline for Success, which is OFS. And it involves a number of different things. One of the things it involves is our guiding principles. And our guiding principles would be our mission and our vision and our values and our focus points. I think we have a great, all those areas, I think we do a really good job in defining what they are. But I'm most particularly proud of our mission and our vision. And our mission is to gain the public's trust and confidence. And we do that through customer service and quality and efficiency. Our vision is really very broad. Our vision is we actually want to change people's perception of government. by the way we go about doing what we want to do, we want to change their perception about government. I tell our staff all the time the story of, I want a gentleman or a lady that are visiting maybe relatives up in Ohio on Thanksgiving, and they're sitting around the Thanksgiving table and they start talking about Congress, or they start talking about how the dog catcher came and took their dog, or how the city wouldn't let them put the 8-foot fence, and they talk about how government just really messed something up. It's just not doing a very good job. That anything they get involved with, they make it worse. I want that citizen from Polk County to say, hey, I hear what you're saying, but let me tell you one place where government's doing a great job, and that's in the Polk County Tax Collector's Office. So we are really wanting to not only change people's perception of us and the job we're doing, but really be a symbol of how government can do a good thing. So those are our guiding principles. A next component of our office is our strategic planning. We have a very intense strategic planning. It used to be in the old days, our strategic planning process consists of just kind of sitting around and trying to figure out what are the challenges that we face in the future and what are the things we need to work on. Well, our strategic planning process is much more sophisticated these days. So that's another important component of our outline for success. Then the third component is our process improvement. We have a system in place that attempts to continue to drive process improvement and ways in which we can do things better. And then the last thing is our results, how we communicate results. We have individual performance measures, we have focus points measures, and we have key performance measures. And those are all things that are measured monthly and yearly and are presented to the public through our website and other ways to say this is what we believe is important, this defines success, and this is how we're doing. And in some areas we're doing great, and in some areas we're not necessarily doing well. But all that generates our general philosophy of our organization and what we're focusing on and what we're working on. And we call that our OFS, or our Outline for Success.
We appreciate that you operate an efficient, customer-friendly office. You really do. What's new?
Well, one of the biggest things we have on the horizon is this driver's license plans. It is really amazing how big of a project that is. I had some statistics, but to give you an idea before and after, when we started the transition to take over driver's license, which we were required to by law, and I think it was a good idea, but it wasn't cheap, our staff, we had about 116 staff members. When it's all said and done, we'll have an excess of 165, 168 staff. Over 15,000 hours of additional training.
Wow.
That has been happening for several years and will happen for the next couple of years. It's been about a 4-year process. We will have gone from about 38,000 square feet of facilities that we're responsible for running to close to 80,000 square feet of facilities. Our phone calls will go from about 500 a day to close to a little over 1,000 phone calls a day. We'll see going from 900 customers a day to around 1,600 to 1,700 customers in a day in our operations. So this adding of what I like to call a new product line, driver's license, is a huge deal for us. And we have been working very hard and very excited about it. Our Lakeland facility, which is a 25,000 square foot facility off Massachusetts. It's a former, one of the original Public stores, built back in the early 50s. Is a great location, centrally located for the city, a great investment in an area that might be considered blighted by some standards. It will be opening this fall in about 2 or 3 weeks from now. And then we've recently signed a contract for a new facility that will go in the northeast part of our county out on the ridge, which will be about a 17,000 square foot facility. And the reason that we're having to do these facilities is because taking on driver's license and doubling the amount of people that come in, none of our current facilities would be able to maintain that type of traffic flow or even have enough space for the staff necessary to provide these transactions. So I'm very proud of my team and the work they've done with this. A tremendous amount of planning and coordination has been going on. Like I said, it's been about a 5-year plan, and we're probably in about 3.5 years into it. So we're very, very close to the end.
And was this a program, the driver's license, that you sought, or did the state mandate that you and your colleagues, tax collectors around the state, handle?
The state has mandated it. For probably the past 20 years, tax collectors have been taking on driver's license. We have not got into that business because, to be honest with you, we lose money. On every transaction we do, we only get to keep about $6.50. It cost us about $14 for each transaction. So we've waited and waited and waited until the legislature said you need to do this, or you're required to do this. That being said, when it comes down to the quality of service, the attention to detail that the citizens will get when they need to do these types of transactions, that will definitely improve. They will be getting a bigger bang for their buck, but overall, in tax resources, it is costing more money.
Yeah, your office is a model throughout the state of Florida as one of the best run tax collectors office that there is.
Well,
so
thank you.
You do a tremendous job.
Well, I appreciate that, and it's a credit to my staff, the team that organizes our systems, and the people that are on the counter doing the work. But we are far from great. We're good, and we need to keep getting better and better. And I keep telling our staff, if we're not thriving, we're dying. We just need to keep pushing ourselves, because if you're not careful one day, you'll wake up and you realize you've become complacent, and as soon as you do that, you're in trouble. And so we want to make sure we never become complacent.
Not going to happen with you. You and your team are very busy. We appreciate the time that you spent with us today telling us about yourself, your work philosophy, and your rewarding results. I would like to remind our viewers to tune in next month, where we will be featuring a yearly recap of past the Commissioner's Report. I am Jim DeGennaro, urging you to take care and please enjoy this beautiful community we call home.